So I held a poll on Instagram about some of the issues the government has, and I would explain how I would do them differently to try to fix them. And the one I'm going to address first is by far the worst, in my opinion, sex trafficking. If you don't know what sex trafficking is, it's one of the worst crimes on the planet, in my opinion. Really, only the lowest of low on the human scale participate in this. So there's a good bit of politicians on there. Now, what you're reading is what the Bush administration tried to do when sex trafficking was going around. As you can see below, it says up to 100,000 to 300,000 children at any given time are at risk. And it says more than 50,000 per year are estimated to be trafficked throughout the United States. Now, that is extremely awful, and I think there's only one clear solution to get to the bottom of the problem, and that is a total rehaul of the government. Not a total rehaul, but you have to go in and you gotta do a thorough investigation throughout the entire government, because there are corrupt politicians in there that they're messing around with children and other women. So then Wikipedia goes and tries to cover it up, saying only 1,700 kids reported having engaged in prostitution. I don't think kids are going to be coming forward that much when there are politicians out there and other people threatening their lives if they speak up. So, no wonder that number is low, and it says they're trying to blow it out of proportion. Yes, okay. Fuck off. You're just a liar, the person who wrote this article about the numbers, saying they're blown out of proportion. You're just a liar. You're covering up for the government. We all know it. Everybody knows a lot of people in government, sadly, like children, and they don't do anything to stop it. And that comes down to the grip that the two political parties have, the Republicans and the Democrats have on this country, and they're going to slowly kill this country. They're already getting children and women killed through sex trafficking, and it's one of the worst things in the world, and I don't know how they can sleep with themselves at night about it. Then they go on to say sex trafficking is another form of slavery, which it is, because it's sexual slavery, and it's truly a horrendous act. And these laws and these task forces that Congress are coming up with to combat it, they aren't helping, and it goes to show, because if the government truly wanted to do something and fix a problem, they'd do it. They had no problem. Back in the 1920s, or the 1910s, excuse me, Woodrow Wilson basically censoring anyone who wanted to disregard the government. Well, they had no problem doing that. People were thrown in jail left and right. But when it comes to sex trafficking, nothing's being done about it. Why? Because there are corrupt politicians that go around that like touching children and like touching women without their consent, because they think they're above everyone, and it is completely disgusting. If we're going to make an estimate of around 300,000 kids and 50,000 to 100,000 adults, that's 400,000 people in the U.S. being preyed upon and thrown into the sex trafficking ring. And look at that. In 2019, between 2014 and 2016, they only got 1,032 victims actually saved, and 4,209 people shown as risks to be trafficked during the same time. How fucking stupid do you have to be to not see that there's some shady shit going on within the government? These two political parties are at the head of it because they think they're above everyone. These politicians use those parties as scapegoats, as a form of cover, so they're not going to get called out on their actions. It's fucking disgusting. And there's only one way you can even fix it. You need to do a complete, utter investigation. The president needs to do it. Donald Trump, Joe Biden. Joe Biden's probably even participating in it, so I doubt he'll even do anything. 2024 is the only year where we can actually get something done, and people have to suffer throughout the next 4 years because of it, because these politicians, they're just completely disgusting human beings. Yes, there are good people in the government, good politicians, but the bad is just outweighing the good right now. A total rehaul needs to happen. And until then, this is going to continue to go on. So that's my proposal to it. You need a complete rehaul of most government officials. You need to get rid of the two political party system, and you need a complete and utter just entire investigation. And without that, we're not going to get anywhere. So Joe Biden, Donald Trump, whoever's president come January, the responsibility is yours. Do your job and help these people getting abused. That was going to be the end of my video, but I had to look at it. I had to look at what the criminal offense is if you participate in sex trafficking, and I wasn't surprised by how lenient it is. If the victim was under the age of 14 or if force, fraud, or coercion was used, the penalty is not less than 15 years in prison up to life. If the victim was aged 14 to 17, the penalty shall not be less than 10 years in prison up to life. What a fucking joke. Those are too small of sentences. You're fucking retarded. Ooh, gotta cut that out. That was probably... No. I'm not gonna cut it out because that's true. You're mentally handicapped. You're stupid if you think these laws are the correct laws that should be in place, or not even laws. These are the correct convictions that need to be handed out for sex trafficking. You're just fucking wrong, and I don't understand. It needs to be a total rehaul of what it is. No, sex trafficking, automatic life in prison, face the death penalty. I mean, that's just it. And then the death penalty. Let them wait 30 years and make them do hard labor for those 30 years. Because that's the only... You can't even repay your debt to society by doing that. It's only to make them feel the pain. And that's what should be done. Because that's stupid, these laws that, oh, you can get 10 to 15 years. Fuck you. That is so blatantly stupid, and that's fucking ridiculous. That's a total lack of empathy for the victims. They give them settlements, they give them money. Money can't repair what they went through. That's fucking stupid, and even then, I mean, my laws are, they're too lenient. I mean, you can even throw them at the death penalty. That would be better. And here's another one saying it's 12 years per offense, and if it's adult, it's 20 years. And then you can get life in prison if the minors were involved if they were forced to do stuff. Now, first off, that should be flipped. It should be 20 years for a kid and 12 years for an adult. If you want to even compare it, which, yes, doing it to a kid is worse. But that's just, still, it's stupid. 12 years per offense, it should be... No, it's life sentence per offense. And if they do it multiple times, kill the motherfucker. That's literally the only thing you can do. It's vile and disgusting that people actually go around and traffic human beings and children for their sexual desires. It's the most heinous act on earth. Yes, murder is bad, but sexually abusing someone for years and I'm sorry, that's the worst crime that there is. Like, they're sex slaves. What the fuck? We shouldn't have this problem. If the government did their job and wasn't so corrupt, this wouldn't be an issue. But because the government wants to sit around and they want to do nasty shit to these mostly females that are mostly children, they gotta go through and deal with this bullshit, and they gotta get their whole psyche fucked up because they're out there getting abused and the government can't do their job. It needs to be an automatic, boom, death sentence. Make them work for 30 plus years and then fucking kill them. I mean, they can't repay their debt to society, so the only thing you could do is basically torture them back. So, that's my proposal. And that's not even enough. You can't just shooting the person right there in court isn't even enough to repay it, because you can't repay the damage that happens through that. It's fucking awful. So that's how I'd personally fix it. And this is probably the most passionate issue I'm about besides equality. But I think it's just completely disgusting that people actually do this. And that's all I have to say about that.